Hi, Poppy here again. Benjamin. Benjamin from Stick and Clean. Now, how did Stick and Clean, that tiny little town, get its name? Because when somebody sticks their head out the car window to see what the town looks like, they's clean through town already. That's why they call it Stick and Clean. It's got 1st, 2nd, and 3rd Street, and then you're out of town already. It's such a tiny little town. And boring. Oh, it's a boring little town. So, one day, some of the town officials, which was the grocery store clerk, decided maybe to get a little bit of activity in town, they would hold a beauty contest. So all the people in town got together. I don't know, there's probably 45 people. They got together and decided they were going to hold a beauty contest. Well, you know what? They did. And nobody won. It's that boring. And then they decided, well, maybe we need a park. And so they said, well, first of all, let's hire a park commissioner. And they said, sure, that sounds good. But then they had to find a place to have a park. And then they thought, well, if we get a park, we're going to need a traffic control officer for the traffic to get to the park. And they said, yeah, we're going to need that. But they didn't have any traffic either. And so all the officials they never could get anywhere with Stick and Clean. So Benjamin and his little dog's name was Elmer. They were so bored in that town that they decided they were just going to walk down to Possum Trot to see what we had going on over here. And so he and Elmer were walking side by side down the gravel road, and Benjamin had had a stick he found, and he's going along the white picket fence with his stick, and he got bored with that. But they kept walking toward Possum Trot, and then Benjamin looked out in the pasture, and he saw 5 beautiful horses in the pasture. And he stopped for a while, and he put his chin and his arms over the fence and was looking at those horses for a while. But even the horses looked boring. All they were doing was eating grass and switching their tails, and that's all. So Benjamin got an idea. He wanted action somewhere. So he got an idea, and he picked up a bunch of rocks, a bunch of stones, and he started throwing rocks at the horses and the stones at the horses. And one of the stones was kind of sharp, and it hit one of the horses right in the rump. And woo! The horse reared up like that and got the other 4 horses all excited. And they started running around the pasture. Well, now Benjamin had some excitement to watch. And they started running around the pasture and whinnying and just rearing up at each other. Well, little Elmer, his dog, got excited too. His tail started going, and he slipped under the fence, and he ran out right underneath all of those horses, whoop, 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 barking at him like, this is fun. Well, those horses got so scared that they started trampling all over Elmer, and all Benjamin could hear from the other side of the fence or see was just Elmer's feet flying in the air and a lot of painful yowls and yelping and everything. And oh no! And those horses just wouldn't quit. So Benjamin had to start. He went in the pasture and shushed the horses away. And then he saw his little dog lying in the grass. Oh, his heart sank. And he went to pick up little Elmer. And Elmer looked at him with one sad eye. And so he knew Elmer was alive. So he gently picked up Elmer, but he could see that he had a broken leg one in the front and another, his leg was over like that in the back. Oh, and Elmer was crying and whimpering. So he gently picked up Elmer and in his arms, and he crawled back through the fence with Elmer. And Elmer was just really in pain. So he did a fast, what we call a postman's walk. He didn't want to run and jiggle Elmer too much. So he came into Possum Trot, and he stopped at the animal hospital there. We have an old barn there that the farmer is a part-time veterinarian. And so he stopped in there, and he said, "Oh, can you please help my little dog? He got trampled by 5 horses." Well, the veterinarian took him in immediately, and he told Benjamin to just wait in the other part of the barn for a while. And little Elmer was squealing and yelling, and Benjamin was out waiting for him, and just had tears running down his face. Save his life, save his life. Well, the veterinarian worked on him a long time, and he did save his life. But when he saw Elmer again, his ribs were all taped up, and his back leg was had a splint on it, and his front right leg had a splint and all taped up on it. And the poor little dog just looked up at Benjamin with his sad eyes like, "Oh, help me, help me." And Benjamin took him gently in his arms, and he walked home with him again. And it took a while, but Elmer finally did recover, but it took a long time. But that Benjamin never, ever forgot that one bad mistake he made, a thoughtless mistake that he could have corrected right away, but he went and he just throwing those rocks at those horses. What an awful mistake that was. And he could never forgive himself. Even when he grew up to be a man, he'll never forget that awful mistake and the pain that he caused for his little dog. And that's the way it is in our lives. We have thrown some dumb rocks, and we've got to get over that. And we need to change, and we may never forget it, but we need to change those dumb rocks into stepping stones for things that are far nicer and greater and more pleasant to think about, things that will make us grow into better people and be more thoughtful and grow closer to God all the time. So what can be an awful, awful mistake can turn out to, like with Benjamin, it can turn out to be he became a much better man because it taught him to think first and always put God first to help him have wisdom. We need wisdom today in this world. So that's my story about Benjamin and Elmer from boring little Stick and Clean today. We need to turn our dumb rocks into stepping stones and get closer to Jesus. Okay, I'm done. Bye-bye.